Good morning everyone, hope you're all okay. Welcome back to Rat Burger and chapter 7 and 8. Let's see what happens in chapter 7. Chapter 7 is called Animal Smuggling. It isn't easy to smuggle a rat into school. The hardest animal to sneak into school is of course a blue whale. Just too big and wet. There's a picture of the blue whale. Hippopotamuses are also hard to slip in unnoticed, as are giraffes, too fat and too tall respectively. Lions are inadvisable, all the roaring gives them away. Seals bark too much, as do walruses. Skunks smell really bad, even worse than some teachers. Kangaroos just don't stop hopping. Bobbies sound too rude. A bobby is a type of seabird closely related to a gannet, in case you thought I'd made it up for a cheap laugh, as if I'd do that. Elephants tend to break the chairs. An ostrich will get you to school too quickly, but it's too big to hide in your school bag. Polar bears blend into Arctic wastes very well, but can be spotted instantly in a dinner queue. Smuggling a shark into school would lead to instant expulsion, especially if you had swimming lessons that day. They have a tendency to eat children. Orangutans are also a no-no. They can be very disruptive in class. Gorillas are even worse, especially in maths. Gorillas are not good with numbers and hate doing sums, although they're surprisingly good at French. A herd of wildebeest almost impossible to take into school without the teachers noticing. Nits, on the other hand, are ludicrously easy. Some children smuggle thousands of nits into school every day. A rat is still a difficult animal to smuggle into school, somewhere between a blue whale and a nit on the hard to smuggle into school scale. The problem was that it was impossible for Zoe to leave the little thing at home. Gingernut's old battered cage was long gone, as her stepmother had taken it to the pawnbrokers. The ghastly woman had swapped it for a few coins, which she promptly spent on a bumper pack of prawn cocktail crisps. 36 bags that she'd demolished before breakfast. If Zoe had just left the rat running around the flat, she knew Sheila would have poisoned it or stamped on it or both. Her stepmother made no secret of hating rodents. And even if Zoe had hidden the rat in her bedroom drawer or in a box under the bed, there was a very good chance Sheila would have found it. Zoe knew that her stepmother always rummaged through her possessions the moment she left for school. Sheila was looking for things she could sell or swap for a fag or two, or some more prawn cocktail crisps. One day, all of Zoe's toys had gone. Another day, it was her beloved books. It was just too risky to leave the rat alone in the flat with that woman. Zoe considered putting the rat in her school bag, but because she was so poor, she had to take her books to school in a beaten-up plastic carrier bag, held together with strips of sticky tape. It was too much of a risk that the little rodent might nibble its way out. So Zoe hid it in the breast pocket of her 2 sizes too large blazer. Yes, she could feel it constantly wriggling around, but at least she knew it was safe. As Zoe came out of the stairwell of the tower block and into the concreted communal area, she heard a shout from above her. "Zoe!" She looked up. Big mistake. A huge floblet of flob flobbed square onto her face. Zoe saw Tina Trott standing on the railings several floors up. "Ha ha ha!" Tina shouted down. Zoe refused to cry. She just wiped her face with her sleeve and turned away, Tina's laughter still echoing behind her. She probably would have cried, but then she felt the little rat move in her pocket and she instantly felt better. Now I've got a little pet again, she thought. It might just be a rat, but it's only the beginning. Perhaps Raj was right. Her dream of training an animal to entertain the nation wasn't dead after all. The rat's presence remained a comfort when Zoe arrived at school. This was Zoe's first year at big school, and she hadn't made a single friend there yet. Most of the kids were poor, but Zoe was the poorest. It was embarrassing for her to have to go to school in unwashed clothes from charity shops, clothes which were either far too big or far too small for her, and most of which had gaping holes in them. The rubber sole had all but fallen off her left shoe and flapped against the ground every time she took a step. Flip, flap, flip, flap, flip, flap went her shoe every time she walked anywhere. Flippity flap, flippity flap, flippity flap, flippity flap, if she ran. In assembly, after an announcement about an end-of-term talent show, the pale headmaster, Mr. Graves, stepped up to speak. He stood in the centre of the stage, unblinkingly staring at the hundreds of pupils gathered in the hall. All the children were a little bit scared of him, with his eyes staring and pale skin. Wild rumours abounded among the younger pupils that he was secretly a vampire. Mr. Grave proceeded to give the stern warning to those errant pupils who, against the rules, had been smuggling their mobile phones into school. This was just about everyone, though Zoe was far too skint to even dream of owning one. Great, thought Zoe. Even when we're being told off, I get left out. Needless to say, I'm not just talking about phones, said Mr. Grave, as if reading Zoe's mind. His voice could carry across a crowded playground at break time and make every pupil fall silent in a heartbeat. Anything that beeps or vibrates is strictly forbidden. Did you hear me? He boomed again. Forbidden! That's it. That's all. Dismissed. The bell rang and the kids plodded off to their lessons. Sitting on the uncomfortable little grey plastic chair on her own lonely row at the back of the assembly hall, Zoe wondered nervously if the rat came under Mr. Graves' description. It certainly vibrated, and sometimes it beeped, or at least squeaked. Don't make a sound today, little rat, she said. The rat squeaked. Oh no, thought Zoe. Chapter 8. Bread Sandwich. So as not to be jostled at the door, Zoe waited a few moments before ambling off to her first lesson. Amazingly, maths, which she always found charismatically boring, passed without incident. As did geography, where she wondered in her newfound knowledge of Oxbow Lakes might come in useful in adult life. During the lesson, Zoe stole an occasional glance into her pocket and saw the little rat was sleeping. It must really enjoy a nice lie-in. At break time, Zoe locked herself in a cubicle in the girls' toilets and fed the rat some of the bread she was meant to be saving for her lunch. She had made her own packed lunch whenever there were scraps of food still in the house. However, this morning there was absolutely nothing in the fridge other than a few cans of very strong lager. So she made herself a bread sandwich out of some stale slices left out on the side. The recipe was simple. Bread sandwich. You will need 3 slices of bread. Instructions. Take 1 slice of bread and put it in between the other 2 slices of bread. The end. Unsurprisingly, the rat liked bread. Rats like most food we like. Zoe sat on the toilet seat and the rat perched on her left hand while she fed it with her right. It gobbled up every last mouthful. There he is. There you go, little... At that moment, Zoe realised she had not yet named her tiny friend. Unless she wanted to give it a suitable name for a boy or a girl like Pat or Les or Viv, she would first have to find out if it was indeed a girl or a boy. So, Zoe carefully picked up the rat just to have a closer look. Just as she was trying to undertake a more thorough investigation, a tiny, thin arch of yellow liquid sprayed from just underneath the rat's tummy, narrowly missing Zoe and decorating the wall. The girl now had a definitive answer. She was convinced that the wee had come from a tiny little spout, though it was impossible to look again, with the rat now wriggling in her hands. But she was sure it was a boy. Zoe looked up for inspiration. On the toilet door, some older girls had scratched obscene sentences with a compass. Destiny is a complete beep, Zoe read, which I think we can all agree is very rude, even if she is. Destiny would have been a stupid name for a rat, especially a boy rat, thought the little girl. So he continued searching the names on the door for inspiration. Rochelle. No. Darius. No. Buster. No. Tupac. No. Jamal. No. Snoop. No. Meredith. No. Kylie. No. Beyonce. No. Tyrone. No. Chantel. No. Despite being crowded with words and some rude drawings, the toilet door wasn't providing as much inspiration as Zoe had hoped. As she sat up from the toilet seat and turned round to flush, so as not to alert the suspicion of the girl she could hear in the next cubicle. At that moment, she spied some posh writing amidst all the ingrained stains in the toilet bowl. Armitage Shanks, she read out loud. It was only the name of the toilet manufacturer, but the little rat's ears twitched as she said it, as if it was recognition. Armitage! That's it, she exclaimed. It was a suitably upper-class-sounding name for this special little fellow. Suddenly, there was a loud thud on the toilet door. Boom! 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 You remember who this is? What have you got in there, you little squirt? Came the voice from outside. No, thought Zoe, it's Tina Trotz. The spit from today's flob had still not entirely come off Zoe's little freckled face. Tina was only 14, but built like a trucker. She had big hands that could punch, big feet that could kick, a big head that could butt, and a big butt that could squash. Even the teachers were scared of her. Inside the cubicle, Zoe was quaking with fear. There's no one in here, said Zoe. Why did I say that? She instantly thought. The mere act of saying there was no one in there meant there was definitely, without a doubt, 100% someone in there. Zoe was in terrible danger, but only if she opened the door. For now, she was as safe inside there. Get out of the bog right now before I smash the door in, threatened Tina. Oh dear. Oh, poor Zoe. I have no idea how she's going to get out of the toilet and how her and Armitage are going to be safe. I love his name, by the way, do you? There was a good couple of words in our reading today again. Let me see if I can find them. The first one was something that the headmaster said, errant pupils. I wonder what that means. Maybe you can find out. The other ones were ambling. It says Zoe waited a few moments before ambling off to her first lesson. And the other one was charismatically. That's a good word, isn't it? Which she always found charismatically boring. So there's 3 words there for you to have a look to see what they mean. See if you can pop them into a sentence, and I'll pop a little sheet together later in the week so you can find out what they all mean. I hope you enjoyed those 2 chapters. I certainly did, and I'll see you tomorrow for some more. Have a great rest of the day. Enjoy all your tasks that have been set by your teachers on Google Classrooms. And we look forward to seeing all your amazing, remarkable work. Take care. Bye everyone.